This was the lowest number of auditions I've had in years, and yet it turned out to be one of the most rewarding years of my career. Let me show you why. What's up, my fellow actors? Welcome to the Acting Career Center, here to help you learn the skills you need to break into the film and television industry. My name is Kurt Yu. Thank you so much for spending some time here with me today. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe to this channel to get more videos on acting, auditioning, and career advice. And if you haven't already downloaded my free 10-step audition preparation guide yet, you can grab it from that link right up there. I call it my audition cheat sheet. It's the same process that I have used to help me book over 100 movies and TV shows. Totally free. Just click the link right there. All right, today we're doing my 2024 year in review. I've done these year in review videos in the past since 2020, so if you want to check out any of those past videos, I'll link those down in the description below. Like in past years, I'm going to walk you through all of my audition numbers in 2024. I'll break down the different categories, compare them to previous years, and talk about what these numbers mean, both for me and for you. And as always, we'll try to find some helpful takeaways that you can apply to your own acting journey. So let's get started by taking a look at the last 6 years of my audition data. In 2019, I had 123 auditions and 12 bookings. In 2020, 74 auditions, 10 bookings. 2021, 135 auditions with 17 bookings. 2022, 128 auditions with 4 bookings, and 2023, 64 auditions and 6 bookings, which brings us to 2024, 55 auditions and 4 bookings for a total booking rate of 7.27%. So yeah, this was the lowest number of total auditions I've had in at least 6 years, even fewer than during the pandemic year of 2020 or the strike year of 2023. But what's important here is context. The industry is still in recovery. The pandemic and the dual strikes didn't just pause production. They caused a pretty major shift in the industry as a whole. Fewer productions are getting greenlit, fewer auditions are going out, and that affects everyone across the board. So while 55 auditions might look like a small number compared to years past for me, I actually feel very fortunate. I've spoken to friends and colleagues of mine in the industry, and there are actors who got far fewer auditions than I did last year. So yes, a shift in the industry did cause my overall numbers to go down, but I am hardly in a position to complain. Now, let's talk about my bookings in 2024. I booked a total of 4 jobs from my 55 auditions last year. However, I was only able to work 3 of those 4. I had to back out of one of those due to a scheduling conflict. As always, let's break down the bookings by category. TV shows, 27 auditions and 4 bookings, with a booking percentage of 14.8%. Of course, that means film, 15 auditions, 0 bookings. Commercials, 12 auditions, 0 bookings. Voiceover, 1 audition, 0 bookings. Yeah, in 2024, all of my bookings came from TV auditions. I didn't book a single film or commercial. And honestly, there's really no clear explanation for that. I didn't suddenly get way worse at film or commercial auditions. It's just the way that the career goes sometimes. And here's the part that might surprise some of you. In 2023, the year prior, the majority of my bookings came from film auditions, not from TV. So who knows, maybe 2024 was just the universe trying to balance out from the previous year. Now, this is something I say a lot, and I'll say it again here. This career is a roller coaster. The numbers don't always make sense. You can have great auditions and not book, and you can have a month with no auditions at all. And that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It means you're working in an industry that is just unpredictable. But despite those zeros in my film and commercial bookings, there were some major wins this year. One of my bookings was a recurring co-star role. Another was a recurring guest star role. And the third was a co-star, but I was booked on a weekly contract, not just a single day. And then the one that I had to back out of because of a scheduling conflict, that was also a potential recurring role. So, in other words, these weren't just one and done gigs. These were roles with some depth and some consistency. And most importantly, they showed growth in the trajectory of my career. And speaking of consistency, Will Trent, a show I auditioned for and booked way back in 2022, continued into season 3 this year, and I'm so grateful to be a part of that show. In fact, episode 7 of this season was a major highlight. The writers gave my character Pete a much bigger storyline. I got to shoot some really emotional and dramatic scenes with my co-star Christina Wren, who plays Caroline, and we had a blast doing it. I'm actually working on a separate video all about my work on that episode, so keep an eye out for that. And even more good news, Will Trent has just been renewed for season 4, which means I will be continuing that journey into next year as well. So that recurring role has been an incredible journey for me, but here's something most actors don't see on the surface. Working on a recurring role like that also means I had to turn down other opportunities. In addition to that booking that I had to turn down due to a scheduling conflict, there were also a few auditions that I had avail checks and pins for, meaning I was being seriously considered, but because I was already committed to Will Trent for those days that the projects needed me, I had to pull myself out of the running. Would I have booked those roles? Maybe. We'll never know. But it's part of the job. And honestly, I'll take the consistent gig anytime. Because in an industry where so many actors are struggling to get auditions at all, having consistent work is a huge blessing. I know actors who went months, even a year, without a single audition, let alone a booking. So the fact that I got 55 auditions last year, booked 4 solid roles, worked with friends on set, and kept a steady job, that's a pretty good year, in my opinion. And if you're watching this and you didn't book anything this year, or you only had a handful of auditions, I want you to hear this. You are not behind. You're not failing. The industry is slow for everyone. It's a long game. What matters is that you keep showing up, you keep improving at your craft, and you keep putting yourself in the mix. Okay, before we end, let's talk about commercials for a second. I had a personal goal this year to improve my commercial booking rate, and that didn't happen. I had 12 commercial auditions, got a few callbacks, but I didn't book any of them. Now, it's easy to look at that and feel discouraged and feel like a failure, especially when we know how lucrative commercials can be. One national commercial can pay more than a month on a movie or a TV show. So yeah, not booking a commercial stings a bit, but 12 auditions is a small sample size. You can't draw sweeping conclusions from a number so small. All you can do is take what you've learned and keep moving forward. So I'll keep working on that. Now let's end with a few other highlights from 2024. I was brought back for the final season of Cobra Kai, which was incredibly special. That show has felt like home every time I've been on set. To be a part of the final chapter of such an iconic series, it's something I'll never forget. I was also brought back for season 4 of Sweet Magnolias. That was another show that I originally booked back in 2021 for season 2. I wasn't expecting my character to be brought back, but it just goes to show that work you did in the past can continue to pay dividends in the future. And finally, one of my bookings this year, I got to work with a longtime friend. We actually had scenes together on set. That was such a full circle moment. To be on a professional shoot, doing what we love with someone I hang out with in everyday life, you really can't beat that. All right, so what can we take away from this year? Well, booking stats are not the full story. Sometimes your biggest wins won't show up in the data. They'll be in your relationships that you build, the continued work from previous years, or the roles that you had to turn down because you were already booked. Consistency matters more than momentum. A slow year doesn't mean a failing year. Showing up and staying sharp is progress. And then recurring work is a game changer. Even if you're not the lead, being a reliable part of a show can open doors and keep your foot in the door. I'm learning that firsthand with my role on Will Trent. And finally, and most importantly, the path is not linear. You don't have to be on an upward climb every single year to be on the right track. All right, that's it for my 2024 year in review. I'd love to hear how your year went. What were your wins, big or small? Drop them down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you got questions, I'll be happy to answer them down in the comments. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and I hope to see you on set one day.